Howdy YouTube. This is Matthew with Wide Vision, and I've got a pretty neat video, at least I think it is. We're going to be doing some line boring on the casting underneath the engine of this tractor, which holds the front axle up down here. I just got done with this project, but I thought I'd tell you guys a few things before you start the video, just kind of as a little bit of a warning. First, it turned out to be a lot bigger job than I thought it would be, so I have a lot more footage than I really wanted. And my main focus on this project was the line boring of setting up the machine and machining out the castings and that kind of thing. So I end up skipping a lot of the mundane stuff of taking things apart, putting things back together. For two reasons. Like I said, one, this project just got really big and there's a lot of footage and I just don't feel like it's necessary to show it all. And two, the camera ended up being in the way a lot of times. A lot of the line boring stuff I was still able to film. I went out of my way to make sure I got that. And that's the important part of this video. That's what I really wanted to focus on, was the line boring. So I feel like most of that's there, and I feel like most of the other stuff is kind of irrelevant to this video. So we're just going to kind of skip through that. So I still hope there's enough there that it answers all your questions, but if not, leave me a comment and hopefully I'll see it and I'll try to reply to it. I decided to video this one just because I'm doing this in trade for a friend, so I don't have to worry about time. I can set up the camera and, do whatever I want. Don't have to worry about the customer getting mad because I'm taking longer than I should, But he bought this old farm tractor here recently and the front axle is wore out. See that bolt right there about the center of your frame? That's what this front axle pivots on. And, it settled back down. I was going to rock the axle and show you. Let's see here. Get in like this. As you can tell, there is no clearance in here. It's actually been rubbing on it really hard. There should be, I don't know, almost a ½ inch of clearance in there. This bolt should be a lot lower in this housing. This has been completely wore out, just everything has gone up. So I got to build that up or put in bushings or do something. We'll see when I get into it. And as you can see up here by the paint on this side of the pin, I don't know, bolt, pin, whatever you want to call it, it's got threads on it. So what is it? But anyways, you can see by the paint that has worn a lot. So I've got to fix that housing. And this casting is part of the tractor. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way to remove that without doing some major surgery to it. So I'm going to be doing it all right here on the tractor. Okay, have it up on stands. Try to give you an overview here. Still just have that jack under the loader. Kind of debating about that. I don't know. I might cut a piece of angle iron and stick back here in this cylinder to make sure that doesn't come down. But it feels pretty sturdy, shaking it around. I think we're good. Got these two jack stands under the front. And then I made this whole setup here out of some scrap tubing. And it's even welded onto the tractor up there. So I don't think she's going anywhere. She feels pretty good when I rock her. And I got the chain hoist. It's not actually tight, but they are around the axle, so I can lower the axle down out of there right now. Tire's up off the ground about 4 inches or so. So that should work. Well, now we'll see if I can drop that down out of there. Oh! Been almost 2 hours trying to get the stupid pin out of here and kind of losing my good mood. Spark down the pants. He's free. All right. Bushings are definitely wore out. Whew. I'm wore out, man. Well, I found a surprise when I was really looking over the axle. But I pushed it back like you saw me doing, and then I saw the bend in this axle. And so I disconnected the hydraulic hoses. We're going to pull it back out front here because I'll have to have the customer come over and look at it and make a decision. But roll it out from under there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The bottom of this triangle right here should be parallel to this tie rod. If you look at this thing, can you see the kink it has in it right here? And the dish it has in it right here? And yeah, that thing is bent bad. I don't know what the heck happened to cause that. But as you can see, this corner over here's been rubbing on the tie rod when it turns. That should have lots of clearance. It shouldn't even be close to that. So, I guess I'll call my friend and see what he wants to do. Have him come look at it. If he wants me to build all this new for him, or if he just wants to find a salvage center of this axle. This is a telescoping axle. You can adjust the width for your row crop. So you can just take these bolts out. So he could reuse all of his spindles and everything out here, the kingpins, all that. He just needs this centerpiece right in here, which you might be able to find. Not only is this center housing here bent like this, it's also twisted to the side. Man, I'll show you this here just kind of as a reference, give you an idea. The pin is in there straight. You can see that pin is half a hole off. And that's sitting in there straight. That's where it naturally wants to set. So yeah, he was kind of wondering why this tire was worn so funny out here. And this tire is so good. And yeah, that probably explains that. Thing was not tracking straight at all. After talking to my friend, he decided to get a salvage centerpiece here. So he'll just get this center section here. But it won't show up for a week. I guess I'll just bring y'all back when that shows up and we start putting this back together. I am setting up for line boring out this casting. This is my homemade line boring rig. So I was trying to figure out where the bearings need to be and where my supports need to be and all that. Normally, when you do a line boring operation, you weld plates on for these flange bearings to what you're working on. But since this is cast iron, I'm not going to do that. But luckily, the bearing is lower than the frame, and there's these awesome holes right here. So I think I can come down with a couple pieces of angle iron and run a plate over and bolt this to that plate, or even an angle iron or something. I probably want to go angle iron since it's that far across there. Hopefully I'd get rid of a little more vibration. So yeah, this is my homemade boring rig. I made these cones and these lock collars and everything else that you'll see of this. And then I put this bearing on last because I thought I would put it out here drill a couple little holes and mount it on this loader bracket. But currently thinking that that is too far away from the bore. So I'm thinking about putting the bearing right under here. And just had an interesting turn of events. I was going to use these angle irons with these hole and slot in it. There's something I keep around just for line boring. There's something I got off another project. I don't even remember now. Scrap piece is basically what it is. And it lined up nice here. I was like, that'll work great. Almost about where I want the bearing. If you look down the angle iron, it's perfect. Things are going great. And I knew that the 3/4 inch bolt that is for these holes here did not fit in these angle iron because they're bored to 5/8, so it doesn't fit in there. So I said, no big deal. I'll just grab a couple 1/2 inch bolts and stick it through the hole and put the nut on the back side, or vice versa, pull it through this way. But I stuck it through this way, and I said, boy, it isn't laying in there very level. What the heck is going on? And then I tried reaching up to the top hole, and I can't. I can if I get out to the middle. If you look up in there, there's a big webbing. And right where that hole is, it's on a curve too. So the head of this bolt here, if I can show you this, there, is on the curve of that casting. So I guess I'm going to have to go ahead and bore this hole out to 3/4, which is no big deal. And then I'm thinking I will just take the die grinder, and wherever this bolt needs to go in for the bottom hole here, I'll just grind that out a little bit in one spot so a 3/4 inch bolt will go in. Those bolted up really nice. So you can see the ones here and then the one on the other side of the tractor. And I got to thinking about it, and to span between those two, I thought a piece of channel iron would be really nice. Nice thing about channel iron is it's easy to clamp to the table, and you don't have to have spacers underneath. You can just drill on the top, and life is pretty easy. Just spot welded that channel iron onto the angle iron there. Now the back bearing should be in place. Now it's time to work on the front bearing. So for this front bearing, I just stuck the bearing onto my regular sacrificial plates, or whatever you want to call it. You know, these are the things I weld scrap iron to make little standoffs when I'm doing line boring. Doesn't look like I've actually used this one. There's no spot welds on it. But anyway, it's what I was thinking. Let's stick it up in here. And I gotta get this rod back right because it's hitting on the oil pan on the back side here, which I know you can't see. Okay. I was thinking about blasting a couple holes in here in this piece of the loader mount and bolting it on, because I'm really afraid if I spot weld here, I don't know if I can get up in there to grind off those spot welds and break it free, you know, after I'm done. And I'm really thinking a couple holes right in that plate aren't going to matter to anything. Then again, reaching up in there and cutting a good round hole is going to be a little difficult too, isn't it? I don't know. I bet if I spot weld them on there, that I could just take the torch and cut them welds back off, couldn't I? Okay, we'll go that route. I'll spot weld it on. And then, hanging down like that, I'm not sure about flop. You know, I might get to vibrating this way a little bit. So I'm kind of debating. I might come back from this plate back to this channel iron with a strap iron down here, or angle iron or something, just to kind of help with that. Not sure. We'll see what I do on that. Just kind of winging all this right now, trying to figure out what to do. So I will tighten this boring bar again. Let's see here. I'm going to put it, there we go. Let's see, I really don't have to tighten up, well yeah, I guess I do have to tighten up the back one, don't I? Okay. So, I'm going to push that up, make sure that's where I need it to be. Hope don't have to where I can see it. Good and tight. Lots of pressure. Tighten that thing up good. There. Okay, now it should be on center again. And that should be exactly where that bearing should go. Well, this could be a little interesting. I just bought a different motor here recently. This little orange one laying here. I got it from a surplus center, and they had the cubic inches labeled wrong. Because I thought this thing would be turning about 200 RPM, which I thought would be pretty good. Be a little fast for some materials or whatnot, but you know, for boring things out around 1.5 inches in diameter, 200 is really darn close. But I got it hooked up to my little power pack here, finally. I just grabbed some hoses and some fittings I had laying around, so it's not a nice clean setup there for the hoses, but anyway, got to hook up the power pack, turn on the power pack, and yeah, I timed it, and it's only 70 RPM. So I went online and looked at the numbers, and this thing is 3 times the cubic displacement that the surplus center had it labeled as. So, oh well, maybe it'll work. In the past, when I do line boring, I actually steal my hydraulic motor off my post hole digger that I have rigged up for my welding truck. But then I have to run it off the crane because it's way too slow on this power pack. It's like 3 times the cubic displacement of this motor. So I mean, it's really slow on the power pack. So yeah, that's why I bought this motor. I thought it would work a lot better. I looked in the machinist handbook, and I should be turning about 140 RPM for 1.5 inch bore in cast iron. Like I said, I'm only turning it 70, so pretty darn close to half. I don't know how it's going to work. I think we'll be alright, but I guess we'll see when it happens. Also, the other thing about using this motor is I don't have any mounts for it since I just got it. This is actually going to be the first time using it. So I've got to build up plates. Alright, enough babbling. I'm gonna make up a plate. I think I'll just probably do most of that off camera. And also I need to make a different hole in my boring bar to accommodate the cutter. I always forget to order a broach until I have a line boring operation come into the shop. I really want to get myself a 3/8 broach. But in the meantime, is what I do is I drill a hole, 3/8 hole in there. Actually, I go 64th over, whatever that is. And then I just use a little square file and make it square. That's what I did with this one up here. And see, just a little bit of gap. Went just a little too far with it, but I mean, that's a pretty good hole if you ask me. Works good. So, yeah, don't be afraid to file it if you want to make yourself a boring bar, especially if it's just a one-time deal, you know. I'm pretty slow at it. My file here is pretty old and wore out. I need to get another one. I don't know, it takes me maybe 10 minutes or something by the time I take breaks and let my arms rest for a while. But, I mean, 10 minutes isn't bad, especially if you consider a brooch is $100. So, yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Don't be afraid to file. Somewhere under all them chips are the little 5/16 holes. I measured that pattern and supposedly they're on a 2-inch spacing. I can't believe that. I didn't think engineers ever put anything on a 2-inch spacing. It's always 2 1/16 or 2 1/32. So that's probably off. And then I'm going to use my handy dandy little boring bar here and see if I can put a 2-inch hole in it in the middle. I don't know, that's a lot for this drill press to take out at once, but give it a shot. Always neat how it punches out that little cookie at the end. Okay, I'll get that all cleaned up and we'll see if it'll fit on the motor. This fits on here nice. I got, oh, it's stuck in there. Then I got a nice plate on this motor. And now I want to start figuring out how to put all this rigmarole together. And that's what it looks like all spot welded together. This strap iron just slides between the two angle iron. And I made a mistake. This angle iron was supposed to be turned 90 degrees. So the flat side of it was against this. That way, both of them were supposed to set the same direction. I guess what I'm trying to say. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if it's supposed to be this angle iron or this angle iron. But anyway, so I had to weld this one on a little funky. Because I wanted them both to be in there like this. And that one's out there, but I don't know. A little bit of play in it. I don't know. I may end up taking and running a piece from this corner here over to there. But I think I'm going to try it first. Do a little bit of boring with it. And just see how bad it vibrates. If it's too bad or not. Kick it on here real quick and I'll show you. I can just advance this forward and it will slowly go. See what I'm talking about, the flex there? Seems like quite a bit. Oh, I see. I just realized when I was watching it this time, this whole plate comes up and down. I thought that was awful flexy. So, yeah, I may end up having to put a piece down here. But, like I said, I'm going to try it first. Okay. Right? Oh, man, this is a pain in the butt to work under here. Cut all this out of the video. Ah! Jeez. Okay. Oh, I can go that way with it. Let's see, I need to go forward. Man, that's going to be a pretty big bore by the time I get done, huh? Ooh. It's really hard to tell on the camera because of the shadow, but that just barely clears the top there. Oops. Wow. I'm going to be taking a lot out of there. A lot more than I thought I was. Well, I really don't like that lighting, but I really don't have much of a choice. So, let's see, I better make sure that Allen key is tight, or Allen screw. I don't know why I can't say that right. Since it's just a T-handle one, I probably can't get it near as tight as I need it. Okay. Might have to put a spring on there to force the bar back. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. All right, here we go. Well, I think we'll be here a while. I'm going to back that off. Do some measuring. I think that bit needs to be a little bit longer. Looks like I'm leaving quite a bit of gap at the top yet. Oh, I wish I could get you a better view. I'm just not happy with that view at all. And here in the cow moo, remind me that if you all want to see a little bit about feeding cows, I made a video on my personal channel. Just click right here in the video to go over to the video of feeding cows. I don't know, some of you might have a little bit of interest in seeing kind of how it's done. And if this link doesn't work for some reason, I'll try to put the link down in the description box too.